course, a misnomer because it's the oral arguments at the end. You've been working on the Moot for 6 months since the problem was released back in October. But this is kind of a culmination. And when we all come together for the oral arguments and to be together, it's going to be a busy week. The arguments, of course. But in addition to the arguments, for those of you who don't know Vienna, haven't been here before, first of all, it's more than worthwhile to visit the city. It's interesting architecturally, and it has quite a history that goes along with the buildings. Even this building, the emperor inaugurated it. And that you can't say in an awful lot of countries. So here we are. And the other thing, which is probably the most important part of the Moot, and that is you get to know one another. You participate in the various events, particularly those scheduled by the MAA, Alumni Association, but all of them. And you will find that your colleagues, it's surprising, they are so much like you in so many ways. They're all law students. They studied the same kinds of subjects, although sometimes the content's a little different. But of course, it is different in the various countries. And it's something, if you're going to get involved in international work, it's arbitration, doing any kind of work. This is what you have to know, be able to do, be friends with your colleagues from the other countries, your opponents in litigation or arbitration. It all works better that way. Well, okay, so for the evening, we start, we have a number of people who will speak to you, but we start with the welcome and the name of the directors of the Moot, the co-directors, and Krisky will do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends of the Moot. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Magister Patrizia Netal, Professor Dr. Stefan Kroll, and myself. Ladies and gentlemen, the Moot is a competition not because it wants to be, but because it needs to be. Now, I don't want that statement to be misconstrued and in any way taken as devaluing the efforts of the individuals and teams that will receive awards in the various categories this following Thursday. My point is that in a very real and genuine sense, you have all already won simply by being here. I can prove this to you in a number of ways. First, as some of the numbers to give you a sense of the size of the event that you are part of. And the numbers that I'm going to give you relate to this Moot alone, and if you recall, we are in our 26th year. So, this year we have 372 teams. That means 807 hearings, including the final rounds. That's 2,421 arbitrator slots. Currently, we have 984 arbitrators registered as attending Vienna. That number swells to 1,410 when you count the number of arbitrators who've been involved in ranking the memoranda as well. There are 2,264 team members, 996 coaches, and 1,730 requests for clarification. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what that number says to me is that Stefan has written an even better and clearer problem than he did last year. Because last year we had 1,744. As an organisation, as an administration, since October, we've sent well in excess of 30,000 emails through mailing lists and the like. The second way I can demonstrate your success to you is simply by asking you to look around. You, collectively, are an extraordinary statement of the value of participating. You've shared in a magnificent journey, and on that journey there will have been highs and lows, there will have been joys and tears. Your family and friends outside the Moot might not quite understand you at the moment. For some reason they just don't get those hilariously funny Moot jokes you've been telling us. But ladies and gentlemen, look around you. Everyone in this room will. But you collectively represent much more than simply an audience for Moot jokes. From within your number are almost certainly future leaders of the international arbitration community. Perhaps most importantly though, from within your number are people from different countries, from different cultures, from different faiths, and from among whom you will form lifelong and very strong friendships. I can offer you the benefit of hindsight because it's 20 years ago this year that I was a student in this competition. So my advice is to make the most of your opportunities, and you will do that if you have fun. Good luck, well done. Thank you.
We are hosted primarily at the University of Vienna School of Faculty of Law, the Juridicum. And to welcome us for the Juridicum is the Dean of Law School, Dr. Professor Paul Omerhauer. Please.
Dear participants, dear colleagues, Eric, it's good to see you all. The University of Vienna has been the host of the moot court competition of the Vis Moot for decades, and we are very proud about that fact. It is a true pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Vienna University. At that stage of your career, you may have noticed that there are a few downsides in being a law student. In the first place, nobody is really interested in studying law at the outset. Rather, beginners are interested in becoming lawyers, and for that, they become law students. I believe this is a healthy approach. Why should anybody at the age of 18 or so be interested, for example, in customs regulations relating to horse semen? Moreover, as I used to say, actually being a lawyer is fantastic, but it has two minor disadvantages. First, you meet quite a lot of people who are not really cool. And second, you have to deal with a lot of paperwork all the time. Being a Vis Moot participant offers solutions to that. First, the best way to become interested in the law is taking part in such a competition. And after a while, you find yourself fascinating about customs regulations of horse semen and all the other stuff. Second, you can arrive at your goal of actually being a lawyer faster because in the mood you already act as a lawyer by being both talkative and competitive. As with many things, first you pretend and then it becomes real. Third, the fact that many lawyers and their clients are not really cool people is also a chance for all of you. Maybe you are slightly uncool yourself, and being the cool kid among fellow, let's say, artists or musicians would go far beyond your actual means. But maybe you have what it takes to be the cool person, at least among lawyers. Traveling the world and taking part of moot court competition might be a good starting point for that. Finally, as to the paperwork or the text on whatever device, well, the mood can't help you with that because nobody can. Thank you very much for your attention.
The moot is an activity of an entity called the Verein, nonprofit. Membership. Among the members are 5 law schools, Vienna is one, that are members of the Verein. There are several other entities and individuals. Anyway, to represent the law schools who are members of the Verein, help put this on, I'd like to introduce from the CISG Law School, which is up in Hamburg, Professor Willem, I hope I've gotten that right, to come and help us.
Dear organizers and participants of the world-famous Willem C.Vis International Arbitration Moot. As president of Bucer's Law School in Hamburg, it is my great pleasure to say a few words at this opening ceremony in this beautiful building. Bucer's Law School is the first private law school in Germany. We have about 600 LLB students. We select our students, 1 out of 6 applicants are admitted. Every year, 116 students start their studies. The student-professor ratio is 1 to 25. In their 3rd year, all our students go abroad to study at one of our 90 partner universities. Meanwhile, we are receiving about 100 students from these partner universities. And they follow our international program in business law, which also includes international commercial arbitration, a course that is taught by a professor who is very well known worldwide, in particular here in Vienna, since he's also one of the 3 directors of the Vis Moot, Stefan Kröll indeed. Last year, he and Professor Carsten Thorn established the Center for International Dispute Resolution at Bucer's Law School, and their Hamburg arbitration days are becoming well established. Bucer's Law School is entering its 20th year of existence, so we are still very young. However, right from the very start, our students have been involved in moot courts, starting with the 2 famous international moot courts, the Philip Jessup Moot in international public law, and of course, this very moot court in the field of international arbitration. During the last 10 years, the number of moot courts at the national and international level has enormously increased. They are popping up like mushrooms. Almost all legal disciplines are represented, from labor law to intellectual property law, from criminal law to constitutional law or tax law. We welcome this development. Putting theory into practice, proving yourself in a more or less realistic legal procedure, and gaining experience for your legal career, be it as a lawyer, a judge, or legal counsel. We at CISG Law School very much support our students to go the extra mile and engage at least once in a moot court competition, and many of them do it even more at one time. And this brings me to a conference that we are organizing in June of this year under the titles Are Mooties Better Lawyers? For 2 days, representatives from the legal profession, the judiciary, legal scholarship and students will share and discuss their experiences and motivations. We want to shed more light on mooting as a comparatively young phenomenon, work out potentials, look closely at mooties and quite critically ask what mooting can contribute to legal education. How can it be better integrated into the legal curriculum? Do we need a legal practice certificate? You see, CISG Law School is into mooting. We are proud in taking part in the Vis Moot, undoubtedly, given its size and importance, the leading moot court in the world. I wish all participants good luck. If you win, please enjoy. If you lose, please enjoy as well. You still have gained a lot of experience. So congratulations to all winners. Thank you.
Our next speaker represents the Vienna lawyer, Vienna arbitration community. He also represents a lot of history in regard to the moot. And I'm not sure whether he's going to give his, shall we say, traditional words as to how he got involved in it or not. But let me just tell you, without him, the moot would not exist today. Werner Mendes.
Dear directors, dear all. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the Austrian Federal Economic Chamber and its International Arbitral Center. Those who are here the first time, and as I see most of you are here the first time, they will rightly ask what the Economic Chamber has to do with the moot, and I give you a short explanation. I met Professor Buxton already a few decades ago as one of the Austrian delegates in the UNCITRAL Working Group on Arbitration, Conciliation and Dispute Settlement. Then, after his retirement from UNCITRAL, he left Vienna to the United States. And then, one day, in early spring 1994, our reception at the Economic Chamber told me that Professor Buxton wanted to see me. I was surprised and happy to see him again. And there he told me that he needed hearing rooms for a moot, which he intended to organize in Vienna in the week before Easter. I did not know what a moot was, but as I liked him, I gave him simply the few rooms which he needed for, then say, 11 teams. The next year he came again and asked for the double quantity of rooms for 23 teams. I knew in the meantime what the word moot meant, and I understood that he apparently intended to hold this event on a yearly basis in the week before Easter, and gave him the necessary rooms. Third year, he came again, 38 teams and a double quantity of rooms again. And here we were at the chamber at our limits. I could give him the rooms, but I thought what to do for the next year. And so I went to the then Dean of the Law Faculty, Professor Peeler, an old friend of mine, and I explained him the situation and told him, well, the university is closed for Easter vacations, you have the rooms, could you give them the necessary number of rooms next year? He said yes, and since then the law school has become the local center of the moot, as you have already heard from the now Dean. The continuous growth of the moot from 16 to 372 teams shows that it is a brilliant event worldwide, and that you will after these weeks be happy and proud that you have participated, and telling this to your friends, you will probably promote the increase of the number of teams next year. And here I come now to the directors. That this event, growing every year, is still under control, is due to the incredible work of the directors Christopher Key, Stefan Kreul, Patricia Nettal.
The idea of doing this move was first suggested at a Congress of International Commercial Law, XXVI Congress, held in the General Assembly Hall of the United Nations in New York. A New York lawyer, Michael Schur, made the suggestion as a way to publicize knowledge about CISG, which was relatively new, was in force, had a number of ratifications, but was still not really well known. And the moot, it's a private law subject. There had never been a moot on a private law subject at the international level. You have to have a tribunal. It can't be a national court, obviously. Arbitration was the answer, and XXVI had done significant work in arbitration. So arbitration it was to be, and as I say, always associated with XXVI. It's one of the reasons that the oral arguments are here in Vienna, is XXVI's presence in this city. And I wish to call to the podium our Secretary of the Willem C and Secretary, Mrs. Anna Schubin.
Thank you very much, dear Professor Bergsten and dear organizers. And thank you very much, all of you, for gathering here in Vienna. As Professor Bergsten, one of my predecessors, distinguished predecessors as Secretary of Ancitral, told you, there is a close link between Ancitral and the Moot. And indeed, while you feverishly prepare for your oral arguments, some of my colleagues feverishly work on visa and other administrative arrangements that we also contribute to facilitating, not only making our library open to those of you who want to prepare and to access documents, but also helping out the teams that come from afar to join this one-week event. And that's what my colleagues Judy Sleeper, Lucia Schneidel and Ryan Harrington have been doing for the last couple of weeks very effectively. So yes, indeed, we are very proud and happy to be part of the Vis Moot family. We feel closely tied to the Vis Moot for many reasons, because it's in Ancitral, because it honors, again, one of my predecessors, Willem Vis, because it is organized actively with lots of energy by a committee and by Eric Bergsten, who also are closely tied to Ancitral, but also because it's, as Eric said, it is an excellent way for us to continue to disseminate and to encourage and to promote Ancitral instruments. Last year, during the 25th Moot anniversary event, the Ancitral rules were used for the arbitration, and of course the CISG was at the heart of the problem before the last year's Moot participants. This year you will work on other rules, but you will still have the CISG at the heart of the problems, and that is for us very important because it is yet another generation, yet another solid basis of lawyers around the world that are familiar with the CISG, that know the CISG maybe better than anyone else because you have really worked on it and familiarized yourself with it for such a long time in the preparation. And I know from all the meetings I've been glad and honored to have over the last year that many of the Moot alumni, the Moot participants, indeed become leaders in the world of international trade law, in the world of international commercial arbitration. And I'm always very happy and very touched when I see former Moot participants coming to see me and saying, I was there 15 years ago, or my first Moot was in 2000 something, or I coached a Moot court group for a couple of sessions, and you see the passion that, as I said, trickles down also to Ancitral during this very happy festive week here in Vienna. So it's to me to thank you on behalf of our colleagues for keeping Ancitral's texts and Ancitral works alive in such an energetic and festive manner. I would also like to invite you in advance for next year. Next year is going to be a very special year because the CISG will celebrate its 40th anniversary. 40 years. I'm looking back at what it was when I was at 40. I still had my life in front of me. That's, I'm sure, what the CISG also has. But it can also look back to these 40 years where gradually it became adopted and became the foundation instrument of international sale of goods. So we would like to already share with you that next year will be a very special year for Ancitral. We will celebrate the 40th anniversary of the CISG, and we hope that you will all be able to join either here in Vienna or in the many festivities that we will organize all around the world. Don't hesitate if you have any ideas or if you would like to link up with us or cooperate with us in making this 40th anniversary of the CISG special in the country or in the jurisdiction where you work. We would be more than happy to. And the second thing I'd like to share with you is a birthday that will take place on the 7th of August of this year, where a new convention, an international convention on mediation, is going to be born and to open for signature. It's, to us, a very important instrument. You all know about the New York Convention, that is the cornerstone of international arbitration, with 159 member states. We're still hoping for the 60th before the end of June of the year, so those who are running for the 160th title better speed up. But as far as we are concerned, we think that this mediation convention will have an equal important impact on an exponential growth of mediation as another very credible, peaceful means of settling disputes. And that is important for us in the United Nations. So we will also ask you to be part of this festive event of the opening for signature of a new UN convention. So with that, and with these news from Ancitral, let me wish you wholeheartedly a very happy Moot Week. I know that you will be working very hard, but from what I heard from previous Moot participants, there'll also be a lot of partying going on. So I wish you a lot of happy partying, a lot of good networking, as was said, making good friends for life that you will meet again and again in many other occasions. And I wish, of course, that you all win, as a professor from Hamburg said. It is indeed a win-win, as we say in mediation. Participation in this event is already winning for the rest of your career. Thank you very much.
I find it hard to keep from making several comments which you just heard. Number one, there's a picture down there. That's all of this. He comes out once a year for everybody to see. I hope you can see it. If not, well, a reproduction of it will be in the program for the Moot. Mediation was mentioned. You know, there's a sister competition to the Vis Moot, which is a mediation moot held here in Vienna. It's based on the same problem that you've been working on. And big surprise, it takes place in the Eurydica. Well, you individually may or may not have an occasion to participate in it. I do commend it to your law schools as something to take a look at. It's a good event. Every year, we change the rules of arbitration that are involved in the problem. The rules that are used are the rules of a real arbitration organization, which does international commercial arbitration, is one of the sponsors of the Moot itself. This year, we're using the rules of the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, and to represent the center, I introduce to you Miss Sarah Grimmin.
Thank you, Professor Bergstein, directors, organisers and participants. It is a great honour for me to be here to represent the Hong Kong International Arbitration Centre. The Vis Moot has a special connection with Hong Kong because, as many of you know, the Vis East Moot takes place in Hong Kong just before the Vienna Moot, and that has been happening for the last 16 years. The other reason is, of course, this year we are the rules that are in the moot problem. And when we found out that we were going to be included in the moot problem, we were absolutely thrilled. We were also in the process of revising the rules. That was a year-long process. It involved public consultation, a lot of deliberation and drafting, working group sessions against which the rules were tested against a case scenario. And the result is the rules that you are now familiar with, the 2018 Administered Arbitration Rules. Those rules were officially promulgated in November last year, and they've already been taken up in over 30 cases. But we were working to a quick time frame during that process, and we actually finished our work in July. Why did we do that? And for whom? For you. As I said, we were absolutely thrilled to be included in the problem this year, to know that the rules hot off the press would be studied by 2,670 keen legal minds. It is an honour for us to have such incredible exposure, and for us to know that all of you have had some contact with the HKIAC, the busy arbitral institution that we are. Congratulations to all of you for the work that you have already done and all of the learning that you have already achieved. This experience will be an unforgettable one for you. You will form very strong associations. For me, I of course have to live with the fact that by virtue of my name being in the document, I will have to live with being associated with custom regulations related to horse semen for the rest of my life. But I do wish you all the very best for this competition, and I do wish that you stay in contact with the centre. We have an internship program. I'm not sure that we have enough current vacant places, but we do look forward to any visits that you have to our city. And let me just wish you all the best luck in the competition, and echo what others have said. You may not win, but in this experience you cannot lose. Thank you.
One of the amazing things about those who participated in the moot as students is that they find around the world, as they're going on in their future legal practice, they find colleagues who also participated in the moot. The moot doesn't end for you when next Thursday. This one does, of course, but at the moot experience. And to represent those who have gone before you and are still involved, the Moot Alumni Association, and I introduce Mr. Falco Grice to represent.
Now, Chris already proved to you that the moot is a very special endeavour indeed. And from another former mootee, I would like to share on behalf of the MAA with you what the mood means to me and to us at the MAA. You've heard that the mood is an educational program, but it's built around a competition, and I think this is very good, because what it does is it gives you the motivation you need to strive for excellency. But apart from that, the mood has developed another dimension over the years. What it's done is it has built a community. By now it's a huge community, it's very special. It's also a bit peculiar because outsiders usually don't understand what it's about. Yet, on the other hand, you see Mooties coming out of the mood, and that builds up on what Eric just said. And then they come back. They come back every year, and at some point you realize you meet new people every year, and you also meet the same people every year. There are people who come back as coaches, as arbitrators, and over the years you see the mood community grow, you see your own personal network grow, and you see how former Mooties become colleagues, and it's already been said, some of them really become friends over the years. But in order to get out the most of this social part of the mood, means you have to go out. Don't lock yourself up in your rooms. It's important to thrive for excellency, but what's also important is going out and mingling and making use of this huge community, of this huge group of people and law students that are here in Vienna. And this is where the MAA comes in. The MAA was founded more than 20 years ago by now by a couple of Mooties. And they wanted to give future Mooties the chance to enjoy the social part of the mood, to enjoy Vienna as well, of course. And we still try to live up to that. We've grown since then, of course. We're now well over 1,000 members. We have diversified. We organize conferences during the mood as well as during the year. And of course, we also organize in Vienna and in Hong Kong the welcome party, the farewell party, and the famous and infamous mood bar. And I urge you to get the most out of the mood. By going out, come to the mood bar, have fun, as Chris said. And that brings me to the Joseph Schwartz Award. To some of you, that is maybe known as a party award, but that's actually not what it's about. Not just, anyways. The Joseph Schwartz Award is officially called the Award for Academic Excellence and Party Condition. What it represents is what I just told you about. It's about thriving for excellency on the one hand, but also going out, having fun and socializing on the other hand. So, since we think you, the Mooties, you are the best judges of who should win the award, we would like your vote during the next days. We set up an email, which is party@maa.net, and we ask you to send us an email with a nomination of a team which you think should win the award. And if you can, give us a short explanation why. Go out, have fun, and then in the morning, you go into the hearing room and you deliver the best damn pleading you ever had. This is what the award is about, and we would like to find the university that represents that. What we also organize, and that brings me to a few housekeeping matters, is a tour to the United Nations, which will take place on Monday and Tuesday. It's fully booked, so I'm not advertising. However, Unstratron needs certain information from you, that is, the people who registered, in order to give you security clearance. So, if somebody in this room has not sent us that yet, please do so urgently, otherwise you might not be able to attend the tour at all. We also organize, however, another tour which takes place on Sunday, and this is a lovely walking tour through the Vienna inner city in the evening hours. and we still do have some spots there. So if you would like to register, and I strongly recommend you do, come to the Dachgeschoss. We've got an MA desk there. You can register. What we also have for, I think, the second year now, is a mood cafe. Now there will be coffee in the Dachgeschoss, but I presume you can have better coffee. So there's a small cafe which is basically just across the road from the Juridicum behind Hotel de France. And they offer exclusively for mood participants a buy one, get one free deal. Oh sorry, Charlene says buy four, get one free. And for that you'll need a little card. You get these cards at the MA desk as well. So pick them up. Give you a great chance to get a proper and cheap coffee. So that just leaves me with my final remarks. And again, I urge you to get out, so please go out to the Moot Binder night. I'd really like to meet you, and I think everybody else too. And also, in order to get more out of the Moot, become an MA member, but also become an active MA member. In order to do that, again, drop by to Dachgeschoss, come to the MA desk, and just have a chat with us. Thanks.
Now, I should warn you right now that our talk about the relationships that you will make leads to a certain danger. There's a certain number of marriages that have come to the So be careful. Be careful. All right. I now introduce one of the other co-directors, Vis Moot.
Well, I hope you listened. I have 3 kids. But actually, I wanted to start with a very important announcement, and I hope I can do it, but it is important. The Moot is an educational event, and as such, we have the responsibility to promote diversity. The Moot cultivates not only cultural diversity, with students coming from more than 89 countries, but also gender diversity. The legal entity that organizes the Willem C. Vis Moot pledged to support the initiative for the equal representation in arbitration in recognition of underrepresentation of women on arbitral tribunals. The pledge seeks to increase, on an equal opportunity basis, the number of women appointed as arbitrators. And this is important. It's not about quotas, but to support equal opportunities. To support the fair representation of women in arbitration, and there are many very well qualified female arbitrators, but they lack visibility. Also for a student event like the Vis Moot, it is important to present a diverse pool of arbitrators for you. When we composed the arbitral tribunals for the Moot, we managed to do quite well for the general rounds. However, when it comes to the final rounds, there's still room for improvement. Well, this reflects the practice. We are working on that, and we hope we can improve also to present to you high-profile female arbitrators in the final rounds. But a very good message, now in our 26 years, we have for the first time a majority female panel on our final. I think this is a real good message and we should continue doing so. The good news is when it comes to the student participation. Since 4 years, we have a slight majority of female student participants at the Moot. This year, about 58% of the students are female. That we can see here at the level of student participation will have for sure a positive impact on the practice of international arbitration. And I'm looking forward to work with many of you in the future. Having said this, we also come to the announcements for this week. I don't know why this task is always referred to me when we distribute the tasks, but it's always me to tell you that you punctually arrive at your hearing and behave well. But I will do it again. The hearing starts tomorrow at 8:30 at the Juridicum, the Faculty of Law. Then we have many hearings also at another faculty building at Oskar Morgenstern-Platz. These are the rooms called OMP, which are a walking distance from 10 minutes from the Juridicum. And at 2 law offices, Dorda and Baker McKenzie, which are very near to the Juridicum. In Baker, we had to cancel 1 room, Baker number 5, so there was a kind of rescheduling going on. Look at your accounts, but Baker 5 is not scheduled anymore, so these rooms have been relocated to different venues. It's important that you start punctually. Each room is scheduled just for 2 hours and we have to keep the time schedule. Teams and arbitrators who have arguments at a later time do not have to be necessarily in the morning tomorrow at the Juridicum or at the other venues. We are here about 4,000 participants in Vienna. It's hectic, so take your time. If you have a later hearing, you can register the entire day. No worry and hurry. The schedule of arguments for each day will be posted that morning. It's also available on the website. Only of that day because there are some rescheduling going on with arbitrators, and so make sure that you check your schedule regularly. Arbitrators will receive the score sheets at each venue, and all of the venues have staff members to assist you. Our main meeting area is at the Juridicum. This is where the registration takes place, where teams and arbitrators receive the welcome packages. There will be also a number of publishers in the Juridicum, many excellent books related especially to the international sales of goods, to international arbitration, and many of the authors will also be present during the week. We also have coffee and breakfast available at the Juridicum. There will be a photo booth on Sunday starting at 2 p.m. So if the teams wish to make photos, take this opportunity. On Tuesday, the arguments start at 8, 10, 12, 2 and 4, so half an hour earlier because we have the announcement of the final rounds in the evening. The announcement, it's Tuesday, are at the Austria Center and start at 6:15. The first arguments of the round of 64 take place the same day on Tuesday, already in the evening at 8 o'clock in the Juridicum. All the teams are welcomed to go and hear other teams, but make sure that you do not watch arguments of those teams against your own team is scheduled. Yeah, this is a very strict rule, and a violation has severe consequences. Make also sure that your friends, relatives who are here are not watching teams that you are competing against in another round. We had some dropouts of teams and students who, for example, mooted in Hong Kong and are interested to form an emergency team now that help us to replace and substitute these teams that could not show in hearings. Please see us at the administration desk in the Juridicum tomorrow. We also have a few arbitrator slots open. We have staff members sitting here in the concert house at the mezzanine level. Just come after the opening ceremony and let us know if you're available, and we are happy to schedule you, particularly for the morning rounds, also tomorrow, 8:30. I don't know what you planned this evening, but if you're available, we are very grateful. Tickets for the awards banquet are available for the teams on Monday starting from 11. You get them together with your certificates at the Juridicum. Arbitrators can already pick up their tickets tomorrow, also at the Dachgeschoss. You know, the top floor, the Juridicum, that's the Dachgeschoss, so you start your German lesson now. We are guests at the Juridicum, we are guests at the other faculty building, at the law firms. When I heard today when Amelie is talking about each year Eric coming and asking for more rooms, it's me who knocks on the door of the office of the Dean, Professor Oberhammer, every year and asks, well, we have again an increase in number of teams, we need more rooms. This is possible because we are very welcome. There was never an incident, nothing happened, and that makes it easy for us to continue with this great project. So we rely upon you and that we can be again guests at the University of Vienna. Yeah. So, having said this, I hope I didn't forget anything of the important messages I should deliver to you. I wish you an excellent week, a successful week. Make friends, enjoy your advocacy skills that will improve every day, I'm sure. And have fun. Enjoy Vienna. Thank you.
And I now have the pleasure of introducing our third co-director, Stefan Perg. You all know his name because it was on the bottom of the problem on each page.
Dear friends, dear students, dear colleagues, now is the easy part of my task, because the only thing I have to do, I have to announce that once again we managed to get one of the greatest artists in the mood performing his only concert in Europe on his European tour here in the concert hall. But this year he brought friends, so we have Harry Flechtner and friends presenting.
Said to me, if you want great riches, son, it's merchant you should be. You can deal in goods from cars to car and earn more than enough, but don't buy or sell cross borders, son, cause that's awfully risky stuff. We didn't have no CISG. If we bought or sold in another state, we didn't know what the law would be. But now there is a convention convention to make global trade more free, except them Goblin US course just treated like the UCC. As a young man, I took up those words my daddy said. I became a merchant, traded goods to earn my bread. But I would not buy or sell beyond the borders of my state, because if the deal was not domestic, none could tell my legal fate. We didn't have no CISG. We were clueless how the law would go if we didn't international league. But now, under the convention, I know exactly what I'll owe when a seller presents its bill. Until a Belgian court says it's margin unless you give that seller an extra half mil. So now there is a treaty when I buy or sell a farm. I can deal with folks from everywhere, from Arles to Zanzibar. And the goods I buy, well, they're always fine, and my buyers, they never sue. You know, I hardly need a lawyer. Yes, my life's perfection true. Because we have that CISG. There's no risk in international sales far as the eye can see. But I just received a shipment, so I must quickly say goodbye. Because German courts and the Austrians too give me just 5 minutes to inspect and notify. From the University of Pittsburgh School of Law in the US, and as you can hear, I have a cold. We'll see how this goes. Actually, my proper title these days is Professor Emeritus, because last summer I retired from my full-time position at the university. Retirement has allowed me a chance to work on a musical project I've got going on. I'm expanding the CISG song into a series of operas about international sales law. In fact, the plan is for a cycle of 4 interconnected operas on that topic. 4 operas designed to be performed back to back to back to back in a glorious 15-hour-long celebration of substantive law for cross-border transactions. You like that? Obviously, I am modeling my opera cycle on the great Richard Wagner's The Ring of the Nibelung. I intend to call my opera cycle The Warranty of the Ring of the Nibelung. I expect audiences will be particularly moved by the final opera in my cycle, The Twilight of the Goods. But, excuse me for one moment. To return to reality for a moment, because I'm not really writing an opera cycle about international sales law. If you would like to hear a recording of the CISG song, it actually exists, along with the lyrics of the song written out and properly footnoted. You can find them on the website of the Center for International Legal Education at the University of Pittsburgh. That's the CILE. The CILE was founded and is directed by my extraordinary colleague, great friend, and co-coach of the University of Pittsburgh team here at the Moot, Professor Ronald Brand. As director of the CILE, Professor Brand has for a number of years now led a project in which he and former members of the Pittsburgh Vis team have helped to train Vis teams from universities, well, in the beginning in Eastern Europe, these days in the Middle East, as those universities begin to participate in the Moot. And the last time I checked, he had worked with approximately 25 different universities in this project. And because of his efforts to promote and expand the global legal culture that the Moot represents, last year the Moot asked Professor Brand to present the Spirit of the Vis Award at the final banquet. That award went to the team from Bahir Dar University in Ethiopia, a team that had overcome extraordinary difficulties in order to be able to participate in the moot. And Professor Brand was the proper person to present the award to this remarkable team because, as Professor Kroll explained at the final banquet last year, if you want to know about the spirit of the Vis, ask Ron Brand. That's absolutely true. I have another song I wish to perform for you now. It's a song I do every year at the opening ceremonies because it's about the moot itself. This wonderful educational event that was created and then guided to such extraordinary success by the great, the phenomenal Eric Bergston. Several years ago, Eric turned over administration of the moot to a variety and its directors, Chris Key, Patricia Natal, and Stefan Kroll, and they have accomplished what seemed when they took over to be impossible. They have continued and built on the extraordinary trajectory of success and growth of the moot that Eric established. But the success of the moot, of course, is due to a lot of hard work by a lot of different people. In particular, I think by you mooties. It is the time, energy, and talent that you lavish on the moot that makes everything possible. Of course, that means being a moody is a big commitment. A commitment that I know tends to crowd out other aspects of your life while the moot is going on. For example, I expect that since the problem came out last October, you moodies have discovered that you just do not have the time to maintain your regular non-moot social life. This is a song about that aspect of the moot, the toll it takes in your social life. It's called The Mooty Blues. Well, I'm this moody baby. I work hard day and night. Yes, I am. I'm this moody baby. Writing memos to dawn's light. I do not ever take no break. That's why the mood gave my social life a life. Well, I'm a this moody baby. I can't argue orally. Oh yeah, you know I can. Because I'm a this moody baby. Got a response for every inquiry. Just do not ask me about my love life, cause the mood took that away from me. Well, I am sick of studying substance, CISG coming out my ears. I have had it with procedure, arbitration law driving me to tears. So if you ask me about hardship and how the arbitration clause was drafted, I'll suggest you stuff your record of a place for which it is not adapted. I know the rules for a sailor. My passport was issued by Vindapona. You know, Gazelle is where they send my mail. Well, you're a this moody baby. You're in the library till it is closed. Oh yeah, you know you are. Because you're a this moody baby. That problem's got you enclosed. The only time you get high is when you climb out the darker shows. But when you got to Vienna, you found movies everywhere. They were all bright and good looking, fancy clothes and nice hair, and it felt like you hadn't had a date since stars were shown in the night above. And that's when you realize that you're in the mood for love, cause you're a destiny. You just mood till you're blind. You will admit that you should know your love life has been left behind. Well, we're all this movies, baby. Come on now, sing it with me. We're all this movies, baby. Come here, what I say. We're all this movies, baby. One more time, we're all this movies, baby. Yes, I know what time I personality's to me. And I know that this is good as good as gentlemen, usually, each year, I write a song based on that year's problem to perform here at the opening ceremonies. But this year, when I thought about it, it occurred to me that a song about a sale of frozen horse semen, you know, that kind of thing would likely lead me in a direction I probably shouldn't go. At least not in front of so many witnesses. So this year I am taking a different tack. The final song this year will not much be based on this year's problem. Instead, it is a piece of musical theater. A piece of musical theater that describes and dramatizes a typical Vis Moot oral argument. One representative not just of the arguments in this year's moot, but of the arguments in every year's moot, past, present, and future. The depiction of this generic argument is done from the perspective of the mootie making the argument, and I will perform the part of that oralist. But of course, we also need arbitrators. And so, ladies and gentlemen, to perform the part of the arbitration panel in the next song, let me introduce to you the next superstar gal band. 3 wailing women of song who call themselves the Arbitrators. Are all graduates of the University of Pittsburgh School of Law who have participated in international moot competitions, and they are Ms. Nika Rasadina, Ms. Arnella Magnich, and the choreographer-in-chief of the Arbitrators, Ms. Janet Shetley. But the members of the Arbitrators will be setting aside their regular identities for the next several minutes in order to portray, in order to become the quintessential, the paradigmatic, the prototypical Vis Moot arbitration panel. The setting for the song is one of the SEM classrooms over at the Juridicum. Of course, you will have to use your imagination for that tonight. For those of you who have never seen the inside of one of those classrooms, I can tell you that each and every one of the SEM classrooms is almost indistinguishable from the room we are in right now. You know, big honking marble pillars at the front, ornate gilded balconies around the other 3 sides. Yeah, you get the picture. So, picture in your mind that classroom. Both teams have arrived. They have taken their places, and now they wait nervously for the argument to begin. All 3 arbitrators have arrived also, and they pass the time until the argument starts. In typical fashion for Vis Moot arbitrators, they sing and dance. But now the moment has arrived. The introductions have been made, the order of presentations agreed upon, and the time allocation specified. And now the arbitration panel is ready to signal to the first speaker that he should begin his argument. 1, 2, 3.
Give us your roadmap, and then we'll ask you 20 questions, and we'll ask you 20 more and more. Give us your roadmap, though it's the last thing you'll ever get to say. Give us your roadmap, no, you won't ever get through your argument. No way, no way, no way, no way. With so much roadmap, out of idle curiosity.
Well, I gave them my roadmap, but then when I tried to speak, they asked me a bunch of stuff that was off topic. But the questions were inane. answer them just the same.
That's right, give us your roadmap. Rather than we'll ask you 30 questions and we'll ask you 34 or more. Give us your roadmap, though it's the last one thing you'll ever get to say.
Oh, mercy.
Give us your roadmap, though you will never get through your argument. No way, no way, no way, no way. We still push your roadmap out of idle curiosity.
Well, for 15 minutes, they grilled me about the standard terms to which the parties agreed. And they finally noticed the puzzled look on my face, and they remembered, oh yeah, that was the issue in last year's case. So they graciously granted me 1 minute more to cover my actual issues. All 4. Then in feedback they told me I spent too much time on things irrelevant, and they dinged me for my time management. 1, 2, 3.
Give us your roadmap, and we will ask you 40 questions, and we'll ask you 40 more and more. Give us your roadmap, though it's the last thing you'll ever get to say. It's the last thing you'll ever get to say. It's the last thing you'll ever get to say. Counsel,
Yes, Madam Arbitrator.
wouldn't you agree that 10,000% of the contract price is too low to reach the threshold for onerous? Counsel, can you spell Nijinsky backwards? Counsel, don't you think page 13 of the record establishes conclusively that your client is a raging lunatic sociopath with an extreme case of triskaidekaphobia? Counsel, when it comes to the act of horse breeding, thank you, counsel. Please answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Arbitrators, for your questions. Though you have asked them and I have only 10 seconds left of my time, and we haven't yet made it through my first issue. But truly, Madam Arbitrators, from the very bottom of my heart, I thank you for your questions. In fact, words cannot express the magnitude of my appreciation for your questions. Years from now, I will think back to the moment you asked me those questions, and tears of gratitude will again well up in my eyes. But I will now answer your questions in the order of most important first. YKSDNIJI or something like that. As for the rest of your questions, Madam Arbitrators, can I ask you please to rephrase your questions? Because as you have asked them, they are both irrelevant and incomprehensible. But Madam Arbitrators, thank you for your question. My roadmap was the last planned thing I ever got to.
He ever got to say.
if you want to know what hardship is, standing here, trying to talk after them. They call it mental hardship, it's not economic hardship. But the good thing is that I always have to say something about the problem. The secretary from Uncentral mentioned that the CISG is in the problem. But there's more into the problem than the CISG. If you haven't mentioned the Uncentral model law, it's now time to go home and rethink what you have pleaded. So there's the Uncentral model law on arbitration. Some of you may have in their pleading something about the transparency rules. Again, I would advise you, go home. There's nothing about the transparency rules. It's just a marketing tool of Uncentral. That's why we always put it in here. And then there's a second thing which I wanted to clarify. I have been at the Hanover Pre-Moot, I have been at the CISG Hanse Pre-Moot, I was at the Vis East, and I was approached by a number of students. And it was typical conversation. They first started off with a very polite lie, said, we enjoyed so much to work on your problem. And then I remember, yeah, you enjoyed so much work on my problem, and why do my daughters send me memes with me as a shady car dealer? Trying to hide certain things in the problem. And the conversation went on. And at the end of the conversation was the question which I was expecting from the beginning. And you ask, we have one question. What about the product? It has nothing to do that this is a revenge from me on Sarah Grimmer, because I was calling her on a weekly basis and I was always told, it's ready next week. It's ready next week, the Hong Kong route. What happened? In the end I decided, okay, the joinder issue, which they had a very interesting joinder provision in, changed that one. And then she called me at the last moment and said, we took out the joinder provision. So it would have been a nightmare. So it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do that I wanted Harry to give Harry a difficult time to sing about that. I gave, or tried to give a number of explanations. But the real explanation is that when we discuss some of the issues, we want you to be professional. So we don't want any jokes about anything, and we don't want anyone in particular coming to us later on saying, like in the previous years, you had wine, we had people coming to us presenting us wine. Don't do that. What we would like you to do is to come up to us and discuss with us whatever you want. We are very happy that you're here. We are very approachable, and don't discuss with me the product again. I will have nothing else to say to that one. But what I have to say still is that, as you heard several times, this is not a competition. It's an educational exercise, and that's the way we treat it. That's the way most of the arbitrators treat it, and there is no loser, there are only winners here. So if you're not the first winner, but the second winner, enjoy the time at the end of the moot, enjoy Vienna. All this is about making friends, and you have probably already made a lot of friends at the pre-moots. And without that, the moot would not have been the event and the experience we would like it to be. You should make friends, you should make friends for life, and I'm not allowed to tell you that you should also marry, not always someone from the moot, but what we like you to be a great family, even if you're married or not, a great moot family, and then later on share the ideas you have received from the coaches, from the arbitrators, and without further ado, the moot is open, enjoy yourself.